Hi, and welcome to another special episode of the We Need a Rose podcast, where for a change, we're not reviewing a show or a movie, but instead we're talking about books. Yes, books that we want to see adapted for the screen, be it silver or small. So it's going to be a roundtable format where we each take a turn, and at the end of the episode, you're going to have 3 books that we all heartily recommend and should be commissioned immediately. And joining us today is a woman who reads so many books that sometimes she forgets to sleep and leave the house. It's Marie. Marie, what are you currently reading?
Why did you have to read me like that? I mean, it's true, but still.
The book doesn't lie. The book never lies.
I started a book last night. It started off great, and yes, I was up till 4 a.m. reading it. You're starting to get to know me way too well. Oh, well, Neil, this is getting creepy. Anyway, the book is...
And the book is cool.
The book is called A Series of Rooms by A.J. Barlow, and I was just looking for some good gay fun, but this is not it. It's gay, but it's not
fun.
It's not fun, and it started off great. I loved the concept. I thought the concept was great. Like, it started off like with 2 characters in a hotel room getting to know each other because they're both strangers. One might be a male prostitute. And I did really like that concept.
We hope so.
All I could think then was the Flight of the Conchords song.
Yes, yeah. But it has gone through my mind as I was reading it. And yeah, I thought that would be just the book because it's like a very short book. So I thought it would be just these 2 characters getting to know each other in the room. But now we've got it's taken a turn, and I'm only like a third of the way through, so I'm not sure I'm going to DNF it yet. It's a fairly short read, so I might just power through it. But it started off great, and after that, after chapter 3, it kind of fell off for me.
I can see the Paul quote now. Not good gay fun. Sorry. We Need a Rose podcast. And making his hat-trick of appearances on the We Need a Rose podcast is fellow member of the Podpack Collective, Luke from the Howdy Beans podcast. Luke, at this point, you are dangerously close to becoming a semi-permanent addition to the pod, just like Marie.
He's coming for my
That's
spot.
my goal.
I'm not liking this.
Well, no, I've not come for your spot. I want to join you. One of us. Come on, guys. One of us.
I mean, it was a little while ago when we was arguing over a certain film being covered, and then someone was like, is this a dictatorship? And I was like, it only is when I decide if I want to spend 4 to 5 hours editing something that I don't really have an opinion on, that you all like super love.
I just like where you
Hashtag
said one
K-pop
of us.
Steam
It was
Hunters.
me. Like, if there's anyone here that would call you a dictator, it would be me. Like, come on.
No, but it was Jose. It was Jose did it.
Well, what's that mean? Where like he's at the gates, he's like, let me in. That's me. That is. I'm on the comment section. Like, if I comment enough, they will notice me. Let me in.
Well, like to say, Marie just kept turning up and commenting on stuff, and we're like, oh, so I think it was even Ben, one of our former co-hosts, who then he's basically the guy from Wayne's World who gets the M&Ms out for so he can go on stage. He's that guy. His job is to get rock bands on stage, although a lot of them are around my age now, so they're quite settled down and calm. It's not like the crazy days anymore, but yeah, occasionally we get Ben back.
Take that as a sort of note, people. Comment more and if you want to get a podcast, just comment. You know what I mean? Just interact with people. Yeah, tell them. You know, we don't mind readers. You know, if you tell us I want to be on your show, we'll probably take notice.
And Marie, like I say, you just kept turning up, and we're like, oh, and it was Ben. He was just like, oh, so Marie's on the pod now, right, guys? We're like, I guess she is. And then we was like, did realise we were probably lacking someone, 1, young, 2, female, and 3,
gay.
You said it, not me. So, Luke, tell us about your podcast and what you do.
Right. So I am. My name's Luke. I run the Howdy Beans podcast. A lot of you probably know this by now. I've been on long enough. I've got squatters' rights. But for those of you that don't know, I run a variety podcast where I look at all things movies, video games, books, TV shows. I mostly focus on topics that I'm interested in, really, and that I have passion for, and are things that nobody really talking about, or I feel like are really, really good, and I've just got to defend them because people think they're crap. So yeah, that's mostly my podcast, really. I cover a lot of things. So if that sounds interesting to you, by all means, check me out. I'm on all podcasting platforms.
And what are you currently reading?
Well, sadly, mine's not a nice gay outing, to be honest. So I tend to read more than one book at a time because I'm a psychopath, and I like to do different genres. So last time I was on, I was reading Torchwood Slow Decay. This one, I'm not that far in, but I'm a huge fan of this writer. It is Bill hold on, Bill Bryson's The Road to Little Dribbling, which is the second travel book of his. The first book was Notes from a Small Island that he wrote in 1995. Bit of trivia for you. And he was about to move to America. And he decided, but before I move in 1995, I'm going to take a trip all the way through England in the 90s and see what it's like. And he goes to little towns. And it's kind of like a travel experience between a American with British culture. And it's a brilliant book. It really explains the way Britain was back in like the 90s. This is his follow-up book, which I think was written in 2015. Like, I'm not that far in, but he comes back like a couple of years later and then he goes, well, how has it changed? How has UK changed? And
God, you better not write one now.
well, yeah, he's gone off and done a lot of things about the body and other travel and sort of things like that, which is probably a lot of safer bet, to be honest.
Yeah.
But I'm not that far into it. But as a writer, Bill Bryson is brilliant. He just has such a way with words that he can make a travel novel not feel like a travel novel. It just feels like your mate is like, oh, I went to so and so last week. It was brilliant. I did so this, and you're like, and you're just enthralled. You're like, oh, tell me more. Like, I want to know more about what you did. So yeah, Bill Bryson's brilliant.
I should probably read his stuff to help me curate my cruise diaries. Like, when on an average week, it's, helicopter over the Panama Canal, walking on the Panama Canal, doing a rainforest tour in Costa Rica, swimming with dolphins in Jamaica, and going scuba diving in Aruba. That's just a week. And I mentioned that, and then my one of my best friends back home was like, yeah, nice. I took the dog for a walk, went to B&Q, did a bit of DIY, got a curry, and watched some football, and then went to work. I was like, yeah, our lives are quite different at the moment.
Well, I'm quite jealous, to be honest. But Bill Bryson, he did write a book that you might be interested called A Walk in the Woods. And it's basically he went on a journey where he did the Appalachian Trail, and he explains how long it takes the Appalachian Trail, what it's like, the dangers. But he also explains that he took his mate with him who didn't train at all, didn't know what he was getting into. He lost his mate.
Guy.
Yeah, he lost his mate halfway because, again, it's a long trail. Like, people don't realize you have to do it. You can't do it in one because how big it is. You've got to break it into two parts because the weather changes seasons and how dangerous it is. And he was saying, like, he lost his mate halfway through, went on another adventure. His mate met him near to the end, and he was like, where'd you go? And he goes, I just gave up. I just couldn't do it. And it's hilarious. It's so funny. I love Bill Bryson. I think he's fantastic.
Anyway, what I'm reading at the minute is, well, these books are very different. And you're not a psychopath, Luke, because I'm actually reading, if I look around, I have got 5 books on the go at any one time.
Yeah, I tend to have like an audio book, a Kindle book, and a physical book.
Mine are pretty much all physical. And so my first one is My Heart is a Chainsaw.
Oh, I love the cover.
A frantic, gory whodunit with an ending both savage and shocking. Well, I don't know because I've not got to the end of it now. Because I've struggled getting through it. I started it and I was like, it's okay, but it's not unputdownable, you know. It hadn't had that effect. The literally says, the blurb underneath, some girls just don't know how to die. Jade Daniels is an outcast, half Indian, with an abusive father, an absent mother in Proof Rock, a town that wants nothing to do with her. She's now one class away from dropping out of school, and she pours her heart and soul into her one last assignment, a personal history of horror films. So it's kind of very meta about, she knows the rules of horror films, and there's a serial killer in town, and she's really happy there's a serial killer in town because her plan is to catch him, I think. I don't know. I really need to go back to it and start it again because it was quite a good book, and there's a trilogy of books in the series, and it's by Stephen Graham Jones. But also, when I checked out of that, another recommendation, this is definitely outside my usual comfort zone of reading. This is a book called...
Oh, I know that book.
That's been on my list.
Yeah, mine too. Mostly because of the cover.
Yeah, and, well, I mean, do we know what it's actually about, Oven and Butter? It is a... So it's, first of all, it's obviously translated from Japanese. The Japanese author, whose name I can pronounce this. Asako Yuzuki. There we go. That was perfectly fine and not wrong. So, and it's about a woman who's kind of like just drifting through life at her local paper. And then she starts trying to interview this famous serial killer who would marry rich men or try and get money off rich men. And they would like shower with gifts and that. But she was really into cooking and did like a famous blog on it. And I think the idea is, I'm not very far into it yet, that I'm meeting this woman. It's kind of like a Silence of the Lambs thing going on, but it awakens something in the main character who's going to stop taking shit off people. So I think she might go a little bit serial killery as well. But yeah, it was one of these books. I mean, the tagline on this one is, there are two things I cannot simply tolerate: feminists and margarine. So yeah, I have enjoyed what I've read of it. It's just I need to get back into it. And both of these books are like on my list when I finish, get through the next Red Rising book, which is kind of my main one at the minute. So who wants to go first? Don't all jump at once.
I mean, Neil, you always go last, so do you want to go first?
Yeah.
Okay, I will go first then. Okay, yeah. For a change, as I think all I've talked about on this podcast so far are fantasy books, I'm going to do a David. Here is a horror. And this book is called Daviola, and it's from an American author called Jennifer Fawn. And it just happens, and the word Daviola just happens to be the Italian word for devil. Fawn herself is from Tennessee and had dreams of becoming an actor before moving to LA and becoming a writer of YA novels, such as The Wrong Side of Right, Night Music, and The Inside of Out. She then moved to England, and right as she did that, the pandemic happened. So during the pandemic, she wrote her first horror novel, because, I mean, let's face it, you probably would during that, called Loot, which got really good reviews. But I remember it was one of those books that was quite small and very expensive. And I was like, I like the look of that. It's on the list. I'm waiting for it to be cheaper. Amazon's description is White Lotus meets Hereditary in this uproarious and unsettling dissection of a dysfunctional family and their ghosts, both literal and metaphorical. I mean, it's kind of right, but it's also better than that. And again, Marie, the main character, is so Marie-coded as I was reading this. And from what you've told me, and please tell me if I'm wrong, but the whole black sheep of the family thing, vacations being hell on earth, not wanting to be there, but in really nice locations.
Yep.
So, yeah. And this is the blurb. Anna has only one rule for the annual Pace family vacations: tread lightly and survive. It isn't easy when she's the only one who doesn't seem to fit in. Her twin brother, Benny, goes with the flow so much he's practically dissolved. And her high-strung older sister, Nicole, is so used to everyone, including her blandly docile husband and two young daughters, falling in line that Anna often ends up chastised for simply asking a question. Her mum is baffled by Anna's life choices. Why waste her artistic talent at an ad agency? And her dad just wants a little peace and quiet. The gorgeous villa outside a remote Tuscan town seems like the perfect place to endure so much family time. Not to mention Benny's demanding new boyfriend, Christopher. If her family becomes too much to handle, then at least Anna can wander off to a wine tasting or lose herself in an art gallery. That is until strange things start to happen. Strange noises at night, food rotting within hours, dreams that feel more like memories, and the unsettling warnings from the locals: don't open the tower door. But of course, Anna does open it, and then what she unleashes threatens to devour her family. That is, if her family doesn't tear itself apart first.
Right, so who do I sue for stealing my life story?
Yes.
And where does she start podcasts in all this?
I think that's going to be the sequel. Nice.
Is she sustainable? That's the last question.
What's
her feelings on Sheen?
I feel she'd probably hate them. Yeah, I freely admit it was the Amazon description that got me on this. I was like, White Lotus meets Hereditary, and I think I just finished watching the last year's series of White Lotus. Like, boom, and it's set in Italy again. So I was like, yeah, I'm going to get it. But do you know what? For me, it's more closer in tone to David's favourite man crush, Mike Flanagan. It's really got that Haunting of Hill House vibe to it, but it's just set in scenic Italy. And I don't feel like the book goes full Ari Aster. It's nowhere near as horrifying as the last book he mentioned, Hex. That's pure like, oh my god, I don't want to see that on screen. This is a few jump scares, but I do love that Anna is the black sheep of the family, and the rest of the family are pretty much all the worst. But what sets this apart for me, and the reason it needs to be adapted ASAP, is a clever narrative twist that takes this story places I just haven't seen this kind of story go before, and I'm not going to spoil it. And what's the worst thing about haunted house films or stories, right? It's the terrible plot contrivances used to keep the characters at the location when most of us will be like, fuck that, I'm gone, I'm out of here. Why don't you fucking idiots leave is what we usually scream at the books or the films when we're watching this kind of story. And at a certain point in this book, that's exactly what our main character does. And I was like, oh shit, she just got out of there. Brilliant. And where the story goes from there is really original. And I once it took that turn, I was like, well, I can't put this down though, because I don't know where this is going. Awesome. And I read the whole thing from that point in one sitting to finish it. Because I was like, Like the eyebrows got so far up my head, they were practically there.
You
like,
had hair at one
I
point.
loved it. Yeah, exactly. So, TV or film? Honestly, again, this could work as either, because the book is a little only over 300 pages, so easily adaptable into a film. And according to an article on goodnovel.com, which was a thing that I know about now, a comment said that the author's Instagram had begun to follow a few film producers' accounts and rumours abounded that a major streamer is eyeing it. But look, I feel a film actually could be the best adaptation for this, because you could take more time and ratchet up the tension. But then with a limited series, I feel like you'd be stretching the story out a little bit more. It does have a nice slow burn approach, but I feel like a solid 2-hour film, you could get the whole story done there. You know, it's meet the family, go to Italy, establish characters, do a nice slow burn. Because and a lot of the best horror films, and ones that are good horror films that don't just do cheap jump scares, you build to the horror. You get that sense of dread permeating every frame. And I mean, you know, there's little things like where she's out having a little wander around like the vineyards and that, and you see like some little child waving. Oh, that child looks fine. And no, demon children, because you know, scary Italian demon children. No. World of no. Cast wise, now for the lead of Anna, the main suggestions making the rounds on the internet was obviously the Pew. But I feel like that's just because of Midsummer. And I was like, no, that's lazy casting. Obviously, the Pew can do anything, but quite a few other people wanted Caitlin Dever. Caitlin Dever. Ironically, actually, I think he would be really good for this role. After seeing her in a horror film, the remake of Suspiria, I actually think Dakota Johnson would be perfect for this. When she's in a big film, she doesn't deliver. When she's in a slightly smaller film, she absolutely kicks it in the dick and nails it. Like, she's so good in like independent films. I mean, like Peanut Butter Falcon, Bad Times at the El Royale. Like, she's really, really good. I feel like she almost has this attitude of, I'm going to take all the money for the big film, and it's not going to be very good, but then I'm going to go and do the good film for less money. And that is a career I think we can all aspire to. But someone else I just thought of, and normally because we don't see her in this type of film, in a kind of straight-ahead drama / horror, Aubrey Plaza would be fucking superb in this.
She's good in everything she's in.
She's good in everything. I think she'd like to like flex her non-comedic muscles for once. I think I think she'd be amazing in this. For the overbearing older sister, the favourites Elizabeth Debicki would be really good, and I could totally see that. For the needy brother, the fan favourite suggestions are Adam Driver. And again, can you imagine Adam Driver and Aubrey Plaza as brother and sister? Yes, I can.
Mm.
And a lot of people want Nicholas Hoult with his new blonde haircut to be the boyfriend, Christopher. And Marie's like, yes.
Yeah, the hair hasn't won me over. Although at the same time, I was attracted to him bald as well. So I mean,
he did look good bald, to be honest.
It's a hard thing to pull off. For the mother, the best two candidates I've seen mentioned are Frances McDormand and Olivia Colman. Obviously, Toni Collette would be excellent, but that's too on the nose because she literally was in Hereditary. In terms of director, I want to skip the obvious choices because David would just be like, Flanagan! So no Mike Flanagan. It's too similar, and he's too busy making every Stephen King thing under the sun. Again, Ari Aster, too similar, and he's kind of moved away from horror with his last two films. I want to pick someone like Osgood Perkins, who's on a hell of a run at the minute after doing The Monkey and Longlegs. But for a female author, I feel like you should have a female director for this type of material. And there's 3 great choices here. You have Rose Glass, who did Saint Maud, which was a brilliant, I think that was her debut, British horror film, and that was absolutely terrifying. Also, she did Love Lies Bleeding as well afterwards with Kristen Stewart the other year. So that was really good. Or you've got Jennifer Kent, who did The Babadook. Again, she would fit this material. Or another one, I just need to pull down the actual DVD to get her name right. Prano Bailey Bond, who did the massively underrated Censor. Has anyone seen Censor?
No.
Again, low budget British indie horror film about a woman who was a censor for video nasties in the 80s. And then her sister goes missing. And it all starts kind of blending. It goes a little bit like David Lynch. Is what we're seeing real? Is it not? That was her debut film. That was amazing. So, give these women more films to direct and give them the budget to do something cool like this. That's all I've got on that one. I feel like Luke might be a bit more... Oh, no, actually, Marie, this is your life story. Do you want to see the worst possible outcome of it and read it? Probably not.
I mean, because it stretches into the horror segment, maybe not. I mean, my own life is already that. So
It doesn't do jump scares very much, and of course, jump scares in a book are kind
yeah,
of
you're
not
saying that in
as-
the context of the book, but in a movie they're gonna amp that up. I mean,
I don't know. I think it depends on the director. That's why I said I don't want that kind of cheesy jump scare director for this.
like I have gotten better with horror, but there's still
Yeah,
a few.
we forced you.
Yes,
Well, yeah, but
because of this.
I say the
pod.
thing is with a lot of movies is if it's shot well and you do it in a clever way, you don't always need a jump scare. Sometimes
you
just the atmosphere is enough, or sometimes
Yeah.
music or whatever. So if from what it sounds like, if you have a director, and I don't mean this in a bad way, but if you have a director that's capable, who knows how to set the scene and set the tone, as well as like the cinematics, you won't even have to use a jump scare. It could be literally just the shock of, oh my god, it's that person, or this happens, is enough to make you go,
Yeah, I like slow permeating dread. That's my favourite kind of horror film. I remember one of the films I hated was A Woman in Black, because it's just Daniel Radcliffe walking around in a house
I actually
jumping at
saw
stuff.
that one.
yeah.
But it was about half an hour of the film was just him walking around opening the door.
It's the suspense.
And it's like dun dun dun.
Yeah, and then they
No.
did a sequel that was trying to be scary but wasn't.
But if I remember rightly, and I might not be, and in that film, there's a bit when he looks out the window and he just sees this ghost walking towards him
Yeah.
through the mist. That was the best bit of dread in the whole film. That was scarier than all the bum 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 moments that I hated.
I don't know. I think I was behind the
just like,
couch.
that
That
is
scene.
Yeah, where they had the whole hallway scene and the lights went off and she was there and it was dun 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 dun, dun, and as it got closer.
Look, the only person who made opening the door scary in a really good film was Guillermo del Toro in Pan's Labyrinth and the Devil's Backbone. That man knows how to make a door opening scary. But not as scary, because in all Guillermo del Toro films, the monsters aren't the villains, humans are.
Unless you watch Tooth Fairy.
Unless you watch it. Moving on. Luke, you're our guest. What's your book?
I'm quite known for being very positive, and I'm quite known for, on this podcast, doing very fanciful sort of books. Today, I've decided to go with one that is technically sci-fi, but it is soul-crushing as well. Oh yeah, it would say it's a sci-fi book, isn't it? It's classed as science fiction, but it's quite depressing. So I've decided to look into Flowers of Algernon. Now, it's written by Daniel Keyes. He won I think he won the Hugo and Nebula Award for this book, and it's actually, I think he's one of his probably most well-known books. It's the only book of his that I've actually read, to tell you the truth. But once I explain this story, you can realize that once is enough. So the blurb goes as follows. Charlie Gordon is about to embark upon an unprecedented journey. Born with an unusually low IQ, he has been chosen as the perfect subject for an experimental surgery that researchers hope will increase his intelligence. A procedure that has already been highly successful when tested on a lab mouse named Algernon. As the treatment takes effect, Charlie's intelligence expands until it surpasses that of the doctors who engineered his metamorphosis. The experiment appears to be a scientific breakthrough of paramount importance. Until Algernon suddenly deteriorates, will the same happen to Charlie? And this story, it's both parts lovely, but also both parts sad at the same time, because Charlie, he's low IQ, he's very pure, he's very innocent, is the best way to explain him, and he's just a janitor. And as the story goes on and he goes through the experiment, he gets smarter and smarter. And at first, as the story goes on, people start to they kind of not like him as much, because they liked him when he was, and again, I don't mean to be horrible, but he liked him when he was dumb, when he was stupid. And as he got smarter, he realized that the people that he thought was his friends weren't his friends, they were just using him. So he eventually gets smart enough where he's like, well, I don't need them. And then he gets smarter than the doctors, and then he realizes, well, he starts, as you get smarter and smarter, the more knowledge is wonderful, but it's also a burden at the same time, because when you're smart enough and you know what people around you are thinking, what people are really like, what the world's like, he gets to a point where he realizes that he just really hates humanity, and that we're really horrible. And the book does a brilliant job of really delving deep into what humans are like and how humans treat each other, and how that he wants to change the world, he wants to do stuff, But before he could do any of that, before he can make it better, or before he can try to help other people be better, Algernon, who is the lab rat that was tested on first, starts to deteriorate. So he starts panicking, thinking that's going to happen to me, and it does. And it's a very gradual sort of like he goes from being sort of simple to being mega smart to having everything to getting the chance to see the world for how it is and change it. And then this is where this is where the negative, the depressing side comes in. When after that he just deteriorates back to his old self. And I'll be honest, I cry at a lot of things. You know, a sad movie, anything like that, I cry at. But there's not many books that have made me cry, and I don't know why. But this is one of the few books that by the end of it, I was in tears. Like it stuck with me. I've only read it once because even though it's a beautiful book, it's one of those where you sit there and you go, I just don't think I can go through that again. But it is absolutely wonderful story, and I'm not going to spoil the ending, but you can probably imagine where it goes. And by the end of the book, I was sitting there going, I just feel so sorry for Charlie. I feel sorry for everything he went through, how he had to go through so much and then lose it all, but that's it. Nothing changes, and it's a wonderful book of human nature, of the power of intelligence, the curse of intelligence, and the way humans are, the way we treat each other, the way we treat people that we think are dumber than us, below us, but the way that we treat people that are smarter than us as well. And it's a wonderful case study, and Daniel Keyes does a brilliant job. Like I said, I've never read any of his other work. I read this in college and it destroyed me, but it's still one of them books where I go, have you read it? And everybody goes no, and I'm like, more people need to read this book because it's like so much empathy. Like that's one of the things they said, like the more books you read, the more empathetic you are.
When was it written? Because isn't it? I remember seeing it as like a under the sci-fi classics label somewhere once.
It was written in 1966. It says apparently online. That's when it was written,
and it still hasn't been adapted.
It has been adapted, kind of. Yeah.
I don't know how much of this you know, Luke, but in '68 they made the film Charlie, and it won Cliff Robertson, who's Uncle Ben in the Spider-Man films.
I didn't know
the Best Actor Oscar for playing Charlie. So there is an Oscar-winning film from '68, 2 years after the book came out.
I didn't know that. I want to have to watch that now. Because what I was about to say is I know that in the 2000s, they did make a made-for-TV version, which I've seen parts of on YouTube, and it's not very good.
And that was Matthew Modine playing him.
Yeah.
But I'll tell you where I recognise the story from. I never saw either of those films, but they did an episode of The Simpsons with Homer in 2001. And it's exactly the same thing where Homer suddenly gets really clever and then goes back to normal again. But the one that really stuck, they did an episode of It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia called Flowers for Charlie, or Charlie Day's character. And it's literally, again, draws inspiration from the book.
It's been mentioned, and it's had its singers in a lot of pies. Like it's been copied a lot, but like I would love a proper, true modern telling of this story. I think it would be a tearjerker. Like it wouldn't be an easy movie to watch because depending on
it'd be a fairly cheap movie to make because it's just a straight ahead drama.
Yeah, it's in the line writer. Of like what's that one with John Travolta? He basically, I think he sees a light and then he becomes really, really smart and he gets telekinesis. So he can make things move. I can't remember the name of it now. But yeah, there's one with John Travolta and he had the same sort of thing, but it turned out his was a tumor. His was cancerous. That's how he was getting really smart. But he can make things move with his mind and stuff like that.
I know the one you mean now. Yeah.
Brilliant. I think it's a good film, but same sort of idea. But depending on the director, which I think I've got two good directors, which we'll talk about in a second. But depending on the director that you chose, you could do it as the beginning of the movie. The first act could be a very positive of him being very like Forrest Gump, where he goes on adventures and he gets smart and he realizes his worth and all that. And then the second half, the final end of the movie could be the sad part where, like Benjamin Button,
destroys you.
Yeah, where you kind of like you've gone with this character, and then it takes a nosedive, and you're like, sort of thing. Who I would like to play. So this one's a hard one because in the book, Charlie is like he's 30, 32 years old. So I tried to look for actors who was in that range. And the thing is with what I would want for Charlie is the fact I'd want him to be an average bloke, which means, and I don't no offense to good looking people, but I don't want him to be a model. Like,
Glenn Powell.
Yeah, I don't want it to be like Glenn Powell, a really gorgeous sort of like you spend too much time looking at his face than what he's actually doing, you know? So he needs to be an average looking bloke who, you know, gets really beautiful and gets really smart. And then, you know, oh, I love him. And then, oh, you know, you feel sorry for him. So this was a hard one. I had, I can't remember his name, the Irish actor who...
Barry Keoghan?
That's it. I had Barry Keoghan because I thought he'd be brilliant because he's a fantastic actor. But I was going between him. But I also had Will Poulter because again he's one
regular
of the people,
Poulter, then glow up Poulter. Yeah.
You know, again it's one of
I
the
don't
things
think
of
he
like
can go back to regular Poulter. He's glow up Poulter all the
No.
way.
Well, that's the problem. But he's still got a very average, like he's a handsome bloke, but he could still play a very average sort of bloke. And I could just see him with his acting chops, so he could be the normal sort of before, and then the beautiful sort of, oh my god, this guy's buff, really smart, clever, and then lose it all. But even like David Cornsweet, who did Superman recently, I think he could do a good job. There's a lot of actors out there who could do it. Again, to me it doesn't really matter on sort of age, just somebody who is in that sort of 30s range, sort of, and somebody who can play innocent, but then as you believe they get smarter. You know what I mean? Who's not just playing smart, somebody who looks like they're getting smarter. I was going to say Pedro Pascal, but I think he's a bit too old now. But that could be great, you know, still. But as for directors, this was a hard one. So because both of them are completely different. So Edgar Wright, I think he is a brilliant storyteller, and he could play the fun side of it, the fun side of showing that, you know, yes, he's really clever, but you don't need those sort of people. You don't need those people around you, the negative, the people that are just using you, and make it fun. Because again, like is it Last Night in Soho? I think he did.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Again, if you've seen that movie, beginning of it, very bright lights, beautiful, and then it goes very dark and horrific. Again, that was my thinking of like beautiful, then horrific. Then I thought, well, who else could do that brilliantly? And I don't know if he'd do it, but I feel like it's something up his alley. Steven Spielberg.
Yeah,
I think
that kind of director. Like,
yeah,
who would a modern day Spielberg be in terms of? Well, there isn't. Let's be honest.
There isn't. No. But somebody like him who has the vision to see, okay, I can do the positive and the negative, and again, both completely different directors, but both have a way of just telling a story visually. Because I've
got a director for you.
Yeah,
Bradley Cooper.
Oh yeah, because he did a really good job with what's that? My mom loves the movie. What's it called now?
Yeah, the one with Gaga.
Yeah, that one. That's a good one. Yeah,
the one with the singing.
That one. Yeah. That could be good. I didn't think of them. My problem is I don't want him to put himself into the lead role. Like
no, he wouldn't be, because he's got a film coming out with Will Arnett in it, where he's directing, called "Is This Thing On?" Bizarrely about a British comedian discovering he's becoming a comedian, and then they've transposed the whole thing to the States. But it looks like Will Arnett is actually going to get a lead role in a potentially Oscar-worthy film,
which he deserves,
because he's brilliant actor. But yeah, Bradley Cooper is the director of it, but just directing it.
I think he would be able to do it. You just need somebody who could do the highs and the lows, who could show the positive and the negatives, and make you care about him to the point, and you still care about him even when he loses everything. You know, yeah. I know it's a very depressive topic, but it's a beautiful story that I feel like could be done so well, and deserves a proper sort of telling on screen. But yeah, TV or movie, but I'd want a movie. I think because it's only a short story, I think a movie would be better.
Okay, moving on to our last book of the episode. Marie, is it good gay fun?
Surprisingly not.
If she says no, I'll be surprised.
Actually, I think you guys might be surprised by my pick. Well,
it's
actually,
the Bible, isn't it?
It's in the same, like, I mean, it's still a book that I picked, so it's in the same, like, it makes sense why I picked this, right? We need a new middle grade magical fantasy series that hasn't been written by a bigoted TERF who hasn't written anything relevant since 2007.
Inca?
No, and that will be on a redo one. The book that I've chosen is the first book in the Nevermoor series called The Trials of Morrigan Crow by Jessica Townsend, who is an Australian author. This book has everything. It might sound a little familiar. It has a cursed child that gets whisked away to an underground magical world that you didn't know existed. It has a lovable wizard character that does not raise the kid for slaughter. It has a beautiful magical world filled with inclusivity, except maybe book 2 because there's some prejudice comes in, but with a message. And if you have a certain sized hole in your heart for a castle that may be located in Scotland, I will guarantee you will find it at the Hotel Delacune. This book is a middle grade fantasy series. I read it as a fully grown adult and I had the absolute time of my life. It is just so beautiful, so wondrous. The characters are extremely charming. The magic system is again, it has a slight twist on it. It's original. The world is just like it's whimsical in just such a good way. It does have an evil wizard who everyone thought is dead, but then comes back at the end. Sorry, maybe a little bit of a spoiler, but it's not. We all know where it's heading. And yeah, I highly recommend you check out, especially if you are looking for a new, beautiful, magical, middle grade fantasy series. Like this, like it's an ongoing series. Currently there are 3 books out. I haven't read book 4 yet. I read books 1, 2, and 3 like all together. I just couldn't get enough. It is just so fun. The first book centers around Morgan, a child who just misfortune follows her around. Everyone thinks she's cursed because everything breaks around her. And then one day, on the day of her death, she gets whisked away by Jupiter North to this magical world and this magical hotel that just is every child's dream, but also then, as the title suggests, she faces trials because in order to get into this magical school in this world, you need to go through basically an exam system or trials to prove yourself that you are a worthy wizard to attend this school.
That doesn't sound too bad. It's not like the Hunger Games.
No, it finally
or Red Rising.
Funnily enough, I think I read this right after Red Rising. Like, I read these at the exact same year. Yeah, it has like a battle royale type story, but no one dies. Like, they just get eliminated. Again, I think it's one of those situations where the child characters were going to be unknown, and then you get people's attention with the leads. And I think it would be fucking hilarious if Rupert Grint played the main wizard, Jupiter North. I don't think he will. He's palling around with M. Night Shyamalan at the moment and enjoying being a father. I don't think so, but even Daniel Radcliffe would be really good. But Jupiter North is ginger, so I think like Rupert Grint would be perfect.
Weren't you a wizard before? No, I don't know what you're talking about.
Exactly.
They got to build some of that into in the adaptation as well, haven't they? I mean, Rupert Grint's work in Servant on Apple was amazing. He was so good in that.
That's the Shyamalan one, right?
That's the Shyamalan. Well, Shyamalan was the showrunner, but he wasn't the writer of it. So it's actually better than a lot of the.
He was in a good movie called I think not Man on the Moon, something like that, and he was playing a producer, not a producer or some sort of somebody. What are the people that look after
music rep?
Yeah, music rep, manager, that sort of thing. Who did all those things for a band, and it's a very psychedelic movie. If I remember correctly, the guy that played Hellboy was in it, Ron Perlman. That's a really good movie that no one ever talks about, but it's a very weird psychedelic 60s movie. It all takes place during like going to space, and I think there's also a cameo from somebody that's playing the guy that did Kubrick, the guy playing that. It's such a weird movie, but he's done a lot since Harry Potter to really differentiate himself. Like, I can act, I can do more than just the friend. Basically.
His American accent in Servant is flawless. I mean,
yeah,
his character is such an unbelievable fuck up in that show, but you warm to him more than the other characters because although he's an unbelievable fuck up, you're on his side more than the other people who are just horrific. It's such a good show. I mean, yeah, I think that ran for 4 or 5 seasons, isn't there? So, Marie, who else? Grint coming back to reclaim Wizards for everyone.
Exactly. Even though like that's a long shot, he also might be a bit too young for the role. But other than that, I'm thinking also Jonathan Bailey would do really well. David Tennant. I basically just looked at list of actors who recently pissed off J.K. Rowling and went off there. Likewise with the villain, I'm not even going to name the name because that's a spoiler. I'm going to use the same name again. David Tennant would be a great villain. Throw in another doctor in there. Matt Smith could do it really well as well.
Peter Capaldi. Jodie Whittaker.
I have Jodie Whittaker down as one of the actors. I seriously went
there you
like
go.
Doctor Who.
Shooty Gatwa.
Tom Baker. Let's go back in time.
Shooty Gatwa. I mean, I would want Shooty Gatwa in this. Like they will find a role. Like he could be like one of the professors. Interestingly enough, because like this is something like this would have to be a TV series, and like I think for TV series, like because of course like it's more showrunner, directors change. So I was like actually just Googling like who would like other people would think. Off the top of my head, again, on just a list of people who recently pissed off J.K. Rowling, I thought it would be funny if Christopher Columbus returned. Again, brilliant. I think he would do a great job. Honestly, part of me thinks James Gunn would do a great job at this as well. He would have to keep the swearing to a minimum because this will be a kids show, but I think
and he is a little bit busy.
He is a little bit busy, but I think he would like it would be fun. But when I looked up potential directors, I actually discovered that an adaptation might be in the works, which I didn't know. Paramount Pictures bought the rights in 2022, and there's already a writer and director attached to it. Both we've actually mentioned before. So Michael Gracie, director of The Greatest Showman, which I'm very on. Didn't like. He's attached as the director, but Drew Goddard is attached as the writer.
Very good writer.
Which is like, I see potential here. So again, this has been like in production, pre-production since 2022. So this has been like since 3 years. There hasn't been a lot of momentum on it. If there is, you guys know where to go because I will definitely be doing shorts on it.
I mean, Goddard started as a writer on Buffy and Angel.
I did not know that.
I didn't know that.
I literally just found it now. Then he wrote on Alias and Lost.
Yeah.
Great shows.
He wrote his first feature, which was Cloverfield.
Oh.
He has a very wide range.
And of course, he co-wrote Cabin in the Woods, and that was his. So he's a director as well, Goddard. So just get Goddard to direct it. There you go. He come in and apparently helped save World War Z.
Well, you have opinions on that.
He was the showrunner for the Daredevil TV series, the Netflix one.
Oh. But yeah, I don't have a lot of faith in the Paramount, to be honest, because they messed up Halo.
Yeah.
Like they ruined my favorite video game. So
I don't have a lot of faith in Paramount either. Honestly, part of me does like I did trash them before. I do think Netflix would be a good host for this. If Netflix wouldn't be Netflix, what does Paramount actually do?
Halo. I think they do. What's that thing called now? It's based off PlayStation 1 game.
Mission Impossibles.
Oh yeah, they do Mission Impossible as well.
The Emmys, they were on Paramount, weren't they?
Yeah. I don't actually know, to be honest, what is on Paramount.
Yeah, it's a very nothing streaming service, which makes me a bit worried for it.
Oh yeah, in terms of if it's going to be a TV adaptation, then yeah, they've got some good shows, but because I remember they commissioned loads of like British books and made them into shows, and for some reason they all starred Emma Appleton, which was random, who played like Renfrey in episode 1 of The Witcher, but she was like in some rom-com about going to Spain to an ex's wedding. Then there was a show where she was like a lawyer. I was like, has she just got a deal with Paramount and they're just putting her in every show? But these were all like low budget, mid to low budget British shows. They even had one based on a friend of a friend's book called The Burning Girls, and I was like, and the cast was brilliant. It was the girl who plays the main role in Lockwood & Co, Lucy Carlyle. The actress who played her and her mum was played by Samantha Morton. and who plays a vicar, and they move through. I was like, great casting. And then the rest of it was just so. I was like,
See, I find that with Paramount a lot is that they pull you in, and then that 1 or 2 episodes are good, and then you keep watching, you're like, this is really bad. I just had a look. They mostly do Star Trek stuff, which some of it's good,
Yeah.
some of it's not
Oh
so
yeah,
good.
Lower Decks.
I
That's
love Strange New
Paramount,
Worlds,
Paramount.
Lower
Yeah,
Decks.
I like
Strange
Strange New Worlds. I'm not a big Star Trek fan, but I do like Strange New Worlds, and I even quite like Discovery when it was on Netflix, and then I started watching it, went to Paramount Plus.
Well, when we did our when we were going to do it, we literally, the reason a lot of us didn't like Discovery is the whole point of Star Trek is it uses allegory to talk about modern day events, and Discovery wasn't doing that. It was just like, oh, this is that. It was like, you're missing the whole point of Star Trek.
You know what got me about Star Trek Discovery? I think this was like end of season 1, where they do that like big speech and they literally spell out, yes, that is Star Trek. And they literally say it out loud. It was the most stupidest thing ever. And they said it like 4 times. Yes, we are Star Trek. It's like, stop! Like, as I said, I read this as a fully grown adult, and I had the time of my life with this book series. It's a warm hug.
Obviously, I know we mentioned that you didn't want it on Paramount. If you had the power to put it on a streaming service, who would you give it to, and why?
For fantasy, kids fantasy.
I mean,
Like, who do you think would do the best job?
HBO won't do it because they've got the other show.
Yeah.
Yeah, true. I didn't think of that.
Apple TV.
You know what? Apple. I mean, does Apple even have any like shows geared for like kids and like?
They had one, and it was really good, and they cancelled it. The TV adaptation of Time Bandits.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed it. The kid was superb.
Yeah.
In it.
It's quite funny,
honestly,
actually,
that's
as
a
well.
good shout, because I
Yeah.
think Apple would be filling in a market there, and because this is a magical fantasy world, we know it will look absolutely superb, because Apple's like, that is one thing Apple does not hold back on.
What they do is, it's very rare they cancel a show that's got going. Like, I mean, I just watched season 3 finale of Foundation the other day, and it was amazing. I mean, some of the stuff in it, you can see where they got the ideas from, like Star Wars, and they just take it to the next level. And I mean, I'm watching this going, I would love to have seen this in the cinema. Foundation in the cinema would be fucking breathtaking, because it is one of the best looking shows on TV. And they just confirmed season 4 the day season 3 finished. I was like, yay!
We really need a show like this now, because if you think about it, Netflix is currently shooting Chronicles of Narnia at the moment. And
Greta Gerwig's Chronicles of Narnia,
which I'm looking forward to. It will be interesting. And then obviously they're filming the show that we should not be named currently as well over HBO. So by the time that those two are done, they'll probably come out around about the same time. So to have a competing one that's on another streaming service that is like it but newer, fresher, sunk we've never seen before, which we've seen the other two before,
and not problematic.
Yeah, and not problematic. You know, there's probably not many actors left, because a lot of them have been scooped up by the other show. But I think it would be, I think it's needed now more than ever to have something new, fresh, and different. Yes, it still kind of feels the same, but it's more now.
And as Marie said, there are so many great fantasy books out there and series. I mean, I remember the guy who did Lockwood and Co.'s. He did I actually didn't read the Lockwood and Co. books.
You need to. They're so good.
But he did a trilogy beforehand called the Bartimaeus trilogy, which was all like about young adult wizards, all that kind of stuff. And I remember reading that. I was like, why do I recognise this guy's name? And I looked and I found it, and I've got the original that trilogy upstairs. I was like, that's what you want. There's so much out there.
Lockwood and Co. gets dark. I mean, the horror in that, for like, considering that it's a kid's book, I mean, like, you know me, I'm a fraidy cat, but there's some horror scenes where I literally go, Jesus.
Yeah, I mean,
grim.
Lockwood and Co. When we talked about it on our most cancelled shows of all time, that was our most listened to episode of all time at that point, because the Lockwood fandom got so behind us just mentioning it. It was insane, and like these people were just like, we love the show.
Because it was good. I mean, because I watched the show and then read the books, and then I got even more pissed off, because I was just like, what the fuck? This is a loyal adaptation.
Like, you've got Miss Peregrine's School for Peculiar Children. Brilliant series. The movie wasn't great, but that could have been fantastic. Like, that could have been something new. And I think since HP, a lot of the studios have been trying to reclaim what that show did, but they've just rushed them so much that you've got the fantasy fatigue, because they're trying to catch up too quickly that they've just lost the point, lost a lot of things. So I feel like we're in a lull at the moment where we're getting the same things over and over again. Like I said, there's so many fantasy books, so many sci-fi books out there, like so many things better that they just read those ones instead. Like,
Which is
there's so much
why
more out
this
there.
inspired this series. I mean, I still have a long list. We can keep going. There's still a lot of good gay fun books I haven't mentioned yet.
And that will be on the next episode of We Adapt This Book by We Needed Roads. Right, I believe that rounds us off then today on this episode of the We Needed Roads podcast. I'd like to thank both my co-hosts today. Marie, where can people find you on the socials?
You can find me underneath the handle Life on Mars. That is Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, even though my account is still restricted. This episode should give you an idea of the shit I talk about that might not... TikTok might not
Marie
like.
getting banned off social media platforms? Never.
For being too woke, yeah. But if you want more of this energy, that's where you can find it. I don't know why you would, but that's where you can find it.
And Luke, where can people find you on the socials?
You can find me on Twitter, howdybeans_pod. You can find me on YouTube and Spotify and all other podcasting platforms as the Howdy Beans podcast. I am now on TikTok, even though I feel like I'm an old man and I shouldn't be there.
Luke, you're literally about 15, 16 years younger than me.
Thereabouts,
I'm
yeah.
on TikTok.
Like...
Yeah.
Well, I didn't want to say it out loud.
I blame Marie for us being on TikTok. So.
Well, that's where the people are. You've got to go with the people.
Hasn't the results been good?
Well, yeah, we don't get any abuse, which is random for it.
Maybe do I? It's quite. I mean, I'm still quite new, but it's
Talk
quite
about
nice not
Gene,
having
then
the abuse.
the abuse will come.
I get banned by TikTok. Either way,
Yeah.
before that happens, you can find me on there, the Howdy Beans podcast, and yeah, I'm here, there, and everywhere. To be honest, I'm in real life as well, but just don't find me in real life.
Yeah, there's restraining orders for a reason.
Yeah.
And you can find me at Needy Roads on Twitter, Neil Gregory78 on Instagram, and Fred. People, join me on Fred. It's just great. At least within the circles I have on there, it's just a very positive place, which is what social media should be. And for more We Needed Roads shenanigans, you can find us on Spotify and also hopefully here on YouTube, where you'll find our full library of episodes. And if you like what you've heard, hit that bell icon and subscribe, as we also upload lots of short form content, instant reviews, trailer reactions, all the good stuff as well. And don't forget to leave us a comment below. Let us know what books you want to see adapted into TV shows and movies, and what your fan castings are as well. And also, what you think of our ones. Make sure to join us next time on your favourite book-powered pop culture podcast. See you then.
We Needed Roads.
What are you looking at, butthead?